This isn't a rant, it's just something that I need to say. So earlier this week, my family and I, we went on a trip to Hannibal, Missouri, which for those of you who don't know, it's the place where Samuel Clemens grew up, aka Mark Twain, aka the guy who wrote Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and a ton of other books. If you were to go to Hannibal, Missouri, you would see a bunch of Mark Twain stuff, a bunch of Tom Sawyer stuff. You would get to experience the town that inspired those books, and you'd be able to hit up a bunch of Pokestops and catch Pokemon. Overall, the trip was a good experience, except this one thing happened when we were trying to leave a gift store.
You may have to hold it down.
So the elevator thing doesn't work. That's kind of inconvenient. Get it together, Hannibal. It wasn't the end of the world that the elevator didn't work, but it showed me something. The fact that we had to go get on the elevator, mess with it for several minutes, realize that it didn't work, and then just come back the way that we came. This store had this elevator that wasn't working, and they didn't have a sign that said out of order. It showed that even though they had the elevator ready, the fact that it didn't work was no help to us. And it kind of showed to me that they didn't really care about people who would actually have to use that. And I know that this business isn't the only one like it. It's not that they hate people with disabilities, you know, they like them fine, you know, they don't mind them, but just because you don't hate a group of people doesn't mean that you care about them. That business doesn't hate people with disabilities, but they don't care enough to try to meet their needs. But the day wasn't completely ruined by this. Overall, the trip was a good experience. All the other buildings for the most part were handicap accessible. There were plenty of ramps that we can use, and the doors were big enough to fit his wheelchair through. Even the boat that we rode on had doors big enough to pull Nathaniel's wheelchair through. That was awesome. And we had fun. And Nathaniel enjoyed himself too. To all you business owners, pastors of churches, restaurant managers, the reason why making sure that your area of operations is handicap accessible is because if it's not, if people in wheelchairs can't get into your building, can't make it around your building, can't get out of your building, not only are you losing the business of those individuals that have to use the wheelchair, but you're losing the business of the entire family of that person. You're losing business from an entire group of people because they can't come to you. There are plenty of awesome things in this world that people like Nathaniel can't experience because they're in a wheelchair. And when different attractions and businesses and churches aren't handicap accessible, that makes the list of things that they can do even smaller. Church pastors, I want to talk to you specifically real quick. I know several churches, especially ones in smaller towns and in rural areas, have gravel parking lots. And if you haven't tried to push a wheelchair through a gravel parking lot, I encourage you to do so, because guess what? It's awful. This is the bottom line. My family and I were very proud of Nathaniel. We like to travel. Because we like to travel and because we like to try to experience the most things in this life as possible, we're never going to stop going on trips with Nathaniel. We're never going to stop taking him out in public. But my family is unique because there are plenty of other families with kids like Nathaniel who they pretty much sit at home all day because they're afraid to go out in public. They're afraid of what people might say or what kind of looks people might give them or how people are going to treat them because of their family member with disabilities. There are families out there who very rarely go out in public because they don't want to have to deal with it. They don't want to have to go through the trouble and the energy and the effort to bring their family member with disabilities in and around the world. But you as a business owner, as a pastor of a church, as a restaurant manager, whatever you are, you have the ability to make the world more accessible for these people. Not only for the people who use the wheelchairs, but for their entire group of family and friends. So what can you do? You can make sure you have ramps, make sure that you have doorways that are big enough to fit a wheelchair in. If you don't know what it's like, then try it. Get a wheelchair, put someone in it, and experiment. Just go about your building and try to emulate the experience of what it's like for someone with disabilities to get in and around. And when you're emulating this experience and you find it difficult, odds are they're going to find it difficult too. My encouragement to people with family members who have disabilities, don't be ashamed of them. Take them out in the world. Help them experience as many things as possible in this life. There's a wonderful world out there to enjoy. They deserve to enjoy it too. I want to encourage everyone watching this video to do your part to make sure people like my brother can have the best life possible. And one of the ways that you can do that is making sure that your business, your restaurant, your church, your whatever can be experienced by people with disabilities. Thanks for watching this, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Love you.